Joe Biden may be a lot more serious about launching a White House run than he has led on. According to Bloomberg, he met secretly with a top Democratic fundraiser during his trip to New York.
But Biden appears to be drawing mixed support from voters. In a new CBS News battleground poll, voters in New Hampshire and South Carolina are split on whether Biden should run.
We're joined now by Nancy Cortez and Washington Post political reporter Amber Phillips. Great to have both of you. Nancy, let me start with you. Let's talk about that Biden meeting with the Democratic fundraiser. Does it indicate he might actually run?
You know, Meg, he's been talking to a lot of people throughout this process. The vice president is someone who likes to talk. He has a lot of friends. In fact, I talked to a Republican senator not too long ago who said he had had several conversations with the vice president about this very question, should he run or not. So I think it is not surprising that he's also talking to people from the financial community, people who he's known for a long time. But certainly in his public statements, including his interview with Stephen Colbert last week, he sounded like someone who was leaning against running, someone who was indicating that while it's something that he's long wanted to do, that he just might not be up for a run for the presidency at this point, given everything that has happened to him this year.
Amber, let me ask you, if Joe Biden does run, who would that hurt more, Sanders or Clinton?
Yeah, I think it would hurt Hillary Clinton. They both share a similar base of middle-class, white, college-educated voters, and so you inevitably end up splitting that right now. Hillary Clinton is still polling ahead of Joe Biden in polls like from the Washington Post ABC News poll, but Biden is definitely a more traditional establishment candidate, and that would hurt Hillary Clinton, who is clearly the Democratic frontrunner right now.
And Nancy, we're looking at some different poll numbers. Bernie Sanders is leading Clinton by double digits in both Iowa and New Hampshire. Is the email controversy to blame for this?
I think it's part of it. Part of it is also that Bernie Sanders is really speaking to the liberal base of the party right now. But that certainly is eye-opening. 22 points ahead in New Hampshire, 10 points ahead in Iowa. There is some good news for Clinton in this poll. She's up 23 points in South Carolina. The Clinton campaign is really hoping that southern states like South Carolina will kind of blunt Sanders' momentum if he does perform very well in the early primary states of Iowa and New Hampshire. And in the Washington Post poll that Amber pointed out, Clinton is leading by, I think it is 18 points nationwide. So that's not as well as she was doing. It's not as well as she would be doing if you sort of take Joe Biden out of the mix, but it's still a pretty comfortable national lead right now.
Amber, Hillary Clinton has been accused by some of not being authentic enough, that she sticks to a script too much. And then yesterday at a Methodist church in Washington, she made a joke about needing to be nicer to the press. What did you make of that?
Right. Yeah. Some of Hillary Clinton's jokes can come off a little awkward, a little robotic, if you will. And I think her campaign is really trying to infuse spontaneity and you know, show to voters that Clinton is a very normal, down-to-earth human. It's been part of their game plan from the beginning, but it hasn't been working. And I also question how you can sort of plan for spontaneity, which is what Clinton seems to be doing right now.
Let's switch over to the Republican race. Nancy, Ben Carson has narrowed the gap with Donald Trump in early voting states. Trump has attacked Carson, but Carson hasn't fired back that much. Is the strategy working?
You know, it's just not part of Carson's persona to really attack Trump or anybody. That's not the kind of person he is. So if he went out and did that, that would sort of hurt his brand, if you will. He does make a couple subtle comments here and there. He was on Face the Nation yesterday, and he talked about the importance of humility. He also wrote an op-ed last week talking about how important humility is. I wonder who he could be referring to there. He said that, you know, everybody thinks that what they do is the best thing in the world and the best preparation to be president, that if you're a businessman, then you need a deal maker in the White House. If you're a politician, you can only have a politician in the White House. He says, look, there's lots of different things you can do to prepare yourself for being in the White House. And certainly Donald Trump is stepping up his attacks on Ben Carson. And the reason for that is pretty clear. You've got it up on your poll, up on your screen right now. He is #2 in New Hampshire, #2 in Iowa in our poll. And interestingly, he's #1 when it comes to people's second choice. And what I mean by that is when you ask people, okay, if if the front runner, if your top choice were to slip or, get out of the race, who would your next choice be? He does better than anybody else. 1 in 5 Republicans say that he's the person that they would like to step into that role.
All right, Amber, Wednesday, the second GOP debate. I have my popcorn ready. What are we expecting out of it?
Oh gosh, who knows at this point? Obviously, you have people like Ben Carson closer to the center of the stage, and then you have more establishment candidates like Scott Walker outside on the fringes. And so I think you have a totally new dynamic here where the outsiders are king, and the insiders, or excuse me, the more establishment candidates are trying to prove that they're still viable. And I don't know how you do that right now. As Nancy mentioned in our poll numbers, the Washington Post ABC News poll has Trump and Carson together. Their support is more than 50% of the Republican electorate right now. That's a huge number that everyone else is trying to get a piece of.
And Nancy, very quickly, we see Carly Fiorina. She is going to be on that stage with all the gentlemen, the only lady. What do you think that is going to be like, especially after Donald Trump's comments about her face?
Well, she's already shown that she can debate. That's part of the reason that she's up on that stage. So she'll be formidable up there. Also, she's one of several people who have a very big bone to pick with Donald Trump. She's got a new ad out, sort of capitalizing on those comments he made about her face. But she's not the only person, who's wanting to give it back to him in a high-profile way. He's said really nasty things about Jeb Bush lately, about Rand Paul, about Ben Carson, as we just talked about. So there's going to be a lot of people gunning for him on Wednesday night. And Jake Tapper, who's a moderator for CNN, has already said he wants to try to encourage the candidates to really mix it up with one another. He wants this to be a true debate. Even the ads on CNN sort of set it up like a boxing match. So I think you could see quite a rumble in California on Wednesday.
Cannot wait. Nancy Cordes and Amber Phillips, thank you both so much.
Thank you.
And the Republican candidates take the stage Wednesday night for the next primary debate. CBSN has full coverage beginning at 6 p.m. Eastern Time.